Are you ready to make 2017 the year you transform your life?
You can wait for something to happen, or you're actually going to decide to go home after this weekend to do something about that. We all know that we have a very, very limited amount of time on this earth. So let's not have repeated years. Live your own life. Make the choice, make the decision for your own life. Fear is where you develop courage. There's a moment going, holy crap, all right, I'm going to do this now.
The Wellness Breakthrough is coming.
And so you actually have that choice every single morning, every single day, every single moment to decide whether you're going to live it to the fullest or not.
Join myself, Marcus Pearce, and the Wellness Guys, Damien Christoph, Lawrence Tam, and Brett Hill for 2 nights and 3 days of transformation at the Country Place. 10 acres of breathtaking rainforest in the Dandenong Ranges of Victoria, February 17 to 19.
It's each and every single one of you are going to support each other in your journey, whatever that journey is.
Couples discounts available, limited spots remaining. For all information and to watch the spine-chilling video, go to thewellnessbreakthrough.com.
TheWellnessCouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cindy O'Mara, Karen Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Karen Smith.
I'm Kim Morrison.
And I'm Cindy O'Meara. So let's talk about the way some people have done some amazing things in business. And one of them is my very good friend, Rachel Bermingham, who was the brains behind 4 Ingredients. I don't even know when that started, Rachel. I remember it was, gosh, how many years ago? But anyway, we'll get to that. But I've known Rachel for a long time. Rachel and I met at an event back in the year 2002, 2003, and we've done business together. We've been friends together. We've done lots together. But Rachel, to me, is the epitome of somebody who has put the hard work in and has got the results. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Cindy, for having me.
So let's start back when you started your first business. Was that the travel agency back in the year 1900?
Yeah, no, it was actually back, oh gosh. Okay, so I was 19 when I first had my first business, and that was a hairdressing salon. So I started the first mobile hair salon on the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realise you did that one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It took a year it took a few months to get it through council because they didn't have any such thing as a mobile hair salon back in those days. And I wanted the flexibility, and I wanted to, I guess, have fun with business. And not being in business, obviously, at 19 years of age, I didn't know a lot about business, but I just, worked really hard and built it up to what became a 7-day-a-week business, and sold it a year later and went to play for a while down at the Gold Coast.
And you know how to play. I know that.
I do know how to play. Even now at 46, I still know how to play.
Yeah, you definitely do. You know how to. That's one thing about you, Rachel, is that you know how to create a business and have a lifestyle at the same time. So then your next business was when?
So thereafter, I went to Movie World, after Water World, became a shark diver for 3 years and fed the sharks and whatnot. Had a bit of a play, but it wasn't, it was fun and it was great for a young single girl and exploring different parts of the Queensland and things like that, and of myself as well. But there was just something that wasn't there was just something I needed to do. And I could, at that age, you really struggle to figure out what it is that you need. because you don't even know yourself at that point. You know, you're still learning about yourself and what you need and what you want and all that sort of stuff. But I was at Underwater World, and I remember it was 5 o'clock in the morning. It was freezing cold in the middle of winter, and I was putting on that wetsuit ready to get into the water and clean out the shark tank in the aquarium. And I thought, geez, this has been fun, but I can't see myself doing this as a 60-year-old person. And I just thought, wow, I just wonder what I will do. And I really had no idea what that looked like. But I had heard somewhere on the grapevine, you know, how you hear great things from time to time if you're open to it, if you're listening, if you're aware, that someone said, look, if you don't know what you want to do, the best thing to do is to start writing and start, you know, getting a list together. So I did that, and I started writing a list and figuring out what it is that I wanted to, you know, explore, I suppose. You know, stupid things were on the list, like stationery. I wanted to, you know, see what it was like to be behind a desk. I've never been behind a desk before, and I wanted to still work with people, and I wanted to do a bit of travel. So that led me into travel, and I became a flight centre consultant, international travel consultant with them for 5 years. And then I thought, you know, that was fantastic, and it was a great learning experience for me. It was amazing. But then I just thought, I just felt I could, you know, there's always that drive. Some people just, you know, it's not enough to work for somebody. I wanted to see how I could go for myself. And because I'd been in business, I was really interested in building something from nothing again. So I decided to open up my own travel agency, and that was my next foray into business. So I was 26 when I started in travel.
Wow. And tell us what year that was.
Actually, I wasn't 26, come to think of it. I was 30, I was 30 years of age, that's right. I was 30, and that was the year. So I started the agency. It took me ages and lots of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars to start it. But we started it. It was going like a firecracker. It was fantastic. And then 3 months later, from opening the doors, September 11 hit.
Yeah. And that it was not a good time for travel when September 11th hit. Everything started to crash around.
Yeah, it was tough. It was really, really tough. And even though I had travel experience, I still didn't really have a lot of business experience. So for me, it was really about getting sunk into the deep end. And I was part of the Jet Set franchise, and I was the last franchise in Queensland to open its doors. And weirdly enough, because of, you know, getting down and hard and working really hard and trying new things and testing new things and learning and reading different things, I was actually the last one to close my doors too. So, which was weird because I should have been the first one to close my doors, being the newest kid on the block. But it was an interesting time, and I learned a lot. Most importantly, at that period and with that business, I learned a lot about marketing, and that's where I had no idea about marketing beforehand. I didn't know what it was. I thought marketing and advertising were the same thing. In fact, that's how little I knew about it. But it certainly taught me a lot about marketing, and it taught me a lot about what you need in order to bring business into your world and how to go out there and get it. A lot of people will see me and go, oh, you know, she's really extroverted and she's really outgoing and she knows how to talk to people. But you know what? That's not naturally who I am. I'm actually a very sort of laid back, quiet, cruisy type of girl. And I find myself very awkward at times. And to go out there and get the business in terms of marketing was not a natural thing for me to do. And it took everything I had sometimes, and I was way outside my comfort zone at many times, like millions of times probably. And but there's a lot of marketing strategies out there, and I just started with the ones that I felt most comfortable with and tried and tested those, held on to what worked and threw out what didn't work, and just kept going from there. And as time went on and throughout the course and even up to this day, you know, you still learn about marketing strategies and things like that. And some of them will be really, really uncomfortable for you. And you think, oh my gosh, that's just freaking me out. I just can't even imagine doing that. But what I've noticed also over the years, over the past, 15, 20 years or whatever it is that that's where the gold is, stepping into those places and pushing yourself and putting yourself in a situation that is not natural to you, not comfortable to you, that can make you feel so nervous that you feel sick. That's really where the gold has been.
Yeah, I remember you saying to me one day, I think you were trying to get on a current affair, and you just said that you would just persistently and consistently ring the department, and you knew that one day there would be somebody else in the chair apart from this person who kept saying no to you, and one day that person was in the chair and they said yes to you. And I remember that so vividly, you telling me that. And I think that in my way of thinking, writing the book for me was the beginning of my career going up, and that was the easy part. And I had marketed that was 1998, and I had marketed that book consistently since 1998. So I'm with you, Rach. I think marketing is probably the most important part of any business, and if they fail to do it, then they're failing in business, really, because it's something you have to put you have to put yourself out in order to do it, whether that be radio, television, newspapers, speaking, and now we've got social media, because back in those days there was no social media.
There's no social media, and now, marketing is easier for a person who I was, because you don't have to do that face-to-face as much as what you did back then. I think there was two things back in those days that still drives me, that is such an important part of my world. And one is something that Barry Bull once said to me. He said to me, no only means no today, it doesn't mean no tomorrow. And that guides me. And every time I get a rejection, I think, well, you know what? That's one ticked off. I might have a few more to go. I may not, but that's one ticked off, and I'm one step closer to the yes. And the other thing is, when you have immense passion for something, when you feel 1,000% and believe in 1,000% what you're doing, that passion will drive you. And that passion can also be more it can overwhelm and override the fear that you feel, and that's the best way to use it. That is the best way to use it. So when you're scared, when you feel sick, and you've got to do a cold call or something like that, and it's not natural for you, just think about it being bigger than you. The message that you are conveying, the product that you have, the service that you have, it's bigger than you. And this is what I say to a lot of the authors I mentor as well. The story that you have inside you, that story, that message, you are the conduit. You are just the person that is relaying it, and in a language that is attractive and appealing and connects with other people. The real heart and soul of what you're doing is greater than you. You are just the person at B. You're taking that A message and you're getting it to that C lot of people. You are the B. You are the connector. And the best way to understand it is to make sure that you know who those C people are, who the target market is, so that you can speak in their language. And it just folds into all about being in a relationship with someone. It just, a lot of people, authors, when they're going for media, or, when they're talking to bookstores, or a business person will come to me and they say, I'm mentoring a business person and helping them grow their business and so forth. And I'll say to them, who are you talking to? And they'll say, oh, I'm going to be talking to this person, and it's usually it's a high end person, and they're so nervous and they're so scared and they're freaked out, and they're all over the shop. And I say to them, you know what? You're not talking to that person. You're talking to Cindy, who is a mum of three kids. Yeah. She is passionate about health. She is loves her friends. She loves her family. She loves to do this. She loves to do that. Think about the other people as people, and people forget that. We forget that you're talking to a person that is feeling, probably sitting up at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're worried about something, and your message, your product, your service can help them rest easy at night, and that's where you've got to come from. You've got to come from a feeling space instead of a thinking space so often in business.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, is that a lot of us think that, that someone might be high profile, or they're the best in this or the best in that, but they're normal people. They are, they have relationships, they have, like you said, children, they lay awake worrying, and we're all like it. And if we go in with that in mind, it just helps. It really, really helps.
It does help. And the other thing that you've got to remember in business, and everybody needs to, is that it doesn't matter whether you're an accountant, any kids I mentor, whether they're an accountant, whether they're a business coach, whether they're a hairdresser, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what you do. There is one thing we have in common when we're in business, and that is we are solving a problem for somebody. And if you can get your head around that and tailor make all your marketing with that in mind, it is helpful. And I've just finished, just penned out, I haven't even told you yet, Sin, but just penned out my last, what is that, number 11 book, or thing number 10 book, I can't even remember now. And it's about how to market your, and I'm going to release it in January. But one of the things I say in that is that you have to think about the problem that you're solving for people. And if you market really well, you need never sell. It's a very important thing to think about, because if you set all your correspondence up, all your communication, the way you come across over the phone or with people, if you have everything planned and structured, tailor-made to you and your way of delivering, your characteristics, your personality, and then just bling it a little bit or tweak it a little bit, the message can be made and conveyed in a super relaxed way, in a super appealing way, with emphasis on relationship. And then it's not like a sell. 90% of the marketing I do is not selling. It's not selling. It's just everything else up to that point. And you get everything else up into that point right, and the last bit is just a conversation.
And you know what? The solving of the problem, you're right, is that common point. And for the Functional Nutrition Academy students and graduates, the problem they're solving is a huge problem in this world, and that's the problem of health. So they know that there are millions of people out there that are possibly their clients, and they have the answers. It's about getting back to natural health. It's about eating the right foods, but they have the science behind it also. So they've got that going there. Yeah. I remember, when we met, Rachel, we actually met at Wildly Wealthy Women, which were two women, Ditna Boholt and Sandy Foster, who were trying to get Wildly Wealthy Women on the scene. Yeah. And you came along. I think they had a couple of people in for their conference, and you came along, and I think there was like 500 people at that conference after you did the marketing. Would you like to
that was such a good time. Hey, we just had such a good time. That was me. Okay, so to put you in the picture, and I know you know this, but I know you want me to share it, so I will. But that was about 2 weeks after I closed the Jet Set travel doors and was facing bankruptcy, because the business debt I had was $280,000, and my solicitor said to me, "Oh, for God's sake, Rachel, just go bankrupt. This is ridiculous, you know. You're not going to pay all that money off," and blah, blah, blah. And then this other girl came to me and she said, "Oh, can you give me some pointers on marketing?" Because the marketing I was doing was brilliant. Yeah. It was, it actually kept us alive for longer than any other Jet Set agency. All the ones that were 10 years and plus were folded, and we were still alive. And they were saying, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? But ultimately, it would have been a hard ride to get back from in a quick way, and I'm all about getting there quickly. So I ended up shutting the doors and did a bit from home and did a lot of marketing and did very well in marketing actually at that point. And then this girl came over and she said, "Can you help me with some marketing? I've just got this business and that I need to market for. So I'm out of my depth. I don't know what I'm doing." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I gave her a bit of help, and then she went over and she saw the directors being Dipner and Sandy and said, "Look, I'm not the right person for this, but I do know the right person for you guys." So I met with them and they said, "Look, we've got 2 people on this conference. We want 450 people at this conference. Can you do it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I can do it." And they said, "Okay, well, I said, "Well, what's the pay going to be?" Because I was interested in it at that time. Now I know that's the wrong question to ask straight up. But for me, with the debt, I needed to know. And they said, "Oh, well, we're not going to actually pay you." And I went, "Oh, okay. Well, how does this work then?" And they said, "Oh, you'll get a commission for every person that you comes on board as a result of your marketing and then comes to the conference." So I said, "Oh, okay." And I had to really think about it, and because I was nervous. I was crushed a little bit. I was a bit bruised, from my Jet Set travel demise. And I thought, well, I know everything I need to do, but can I do it? And I suppose it was just, taking that leap of faith and having a go. So I went to him and I said to him, "Look, I can do this, but I need to know a lot of questions. And the first thing I need to know is, who is your target market?" And they said, "Well, women." And I said, "Yeah, but who are they?" And they said, "I don't know." So we sat there and we extrapolated that out to figure out who the market was, to know them intimately, to know them back and forth and then some, so that I could actually get my head around who I was talking to and then structure the language and the marketing campaign and implement it to suit the person we were trying to get to. And that was amazing. So I went out and I did all the marketing. I put all the marketing out there. I called TV stations and programs and radio and newspapers and did press releases and worked like a little Trojan right through, sometimes until 2-3 o'clock in the morning, because that's what you can do without kids, folks. And that was pre-Jackson, who's now 11 and a half, almost 12.
Weren't you pregnant? Were you pregnant at that time?
No, I was not pregnant at that point. I got pregnant in the course of that, though, yes.
I thought so.
Yeah, so the first Wildly Wealthy Women Conference, no, I was not pregnant, but I remember going to New Zealand with them and doing the same thing over there and getting the word out there and getting bums on seats at conferences over there and meeting all these amazing ladies. And yeah, that's when I found out I was pregnant. So that's when I went to more business coaching and marketing coaching and things like that. So I did my executive coaching certificate mostly at 3 o'clock in the morning while I was pregnant with Jackson, and they said, "Oh, it's going to take 12 months. I said, "I don't have that time. I'm going to be having a baby and I want it all done and dusted by then." So I did it all in 5 months flat. So, but yeah, that was great. That was Wildly Wealthy Women was an amazing concept. There was a lot of women that got much more than property education out of Wildly Wealthy Women. They got a whole different way of looking at the world, and they just got a whole new power about themselves, and it was a delight to be involved in. It was fantastic because I got to meet awesome, amazing ladies like yourself and many others. And that first conference we booked out within a few weeks. It was just crazy, but that was through marketing and sheer hard work and understanding and being really interested about who we were talking to, about who that person was I needed to get to, and what lit them up, what were their challenges, what were they worried about, what were their hobbies. I really wanted to know them, and I think that's a big portion of business. You really, I'm genuinely interested in the people I deal with and the people I look after and the people I help and mentor, things like that. I'm genuinely their biggest cheerleader as well. I feel their pain. I've cried on the phone with them, mentoring them. And I think it's such to me, I'm so grateful to be able to do, have that way and have that level of business, because it's just such a gift. It's a gift for me as much as it is them. I know that I help them, but it's a gift for me to be able to do this and to, have fallen on my ass a few times and got back up and dusted myself off and then gone again and achieved great things. It is amazing. It's the 4 Ingredients story is an incredible story. It's still the biggest selling cookbook in Australian history over the past 10 years, 4 Ingredients. And it's just, it's through sheer hard work. I'm not in 4 Ingredients anymore, as most people would already recognise. I went out of it a few years ago to concentrate on book production and mentoring women and things like that in business and in life. And it's just amazing that you can actually, I think one of the things that people forget in business is they get disconnected from themselves and they forget to put themselves into their business but not make it all about that. It is, some people say balance is for ballerinas, but I just firmly believe that if you have a fair few things in place, then when life happens and when things do come into your world and they do upset it, they do kind of put you off balance for a little bit, but not a lot, So I've found that balance, but it took years to find it. And I suppose the biggest thing for me is that most people in business, the ones that do really well, and that I've found that they have great success through when I'm, helping them, is that they understand who they are. And a part of business success, and a big part of business success, is in knowing who you are, knowing when you're most productive, knowing how you work, knowing what you're really good at, and knowing that you've got to keep the heart and soul in business, and you've got to keep your heart and soul in it as well. And that makes a good business great. It makes a good business great, and many things can come from that as well. It's important to recognise that you need to get up and you need to put effort into it. It's no good having a blueprint for business success if you don't actually implement it, or you don't actually know that you've got to put your effort into it. One of the biggest reasons why my wheels fell off in business and I did, end up going bankrupt was because I had too many things going on in business. I had too many people around me in business as well. I was listening to too many people, and I was giving too much of my business to other people to look after, and I took my eye off the ball and entrusted too much, and I made it too complicated, way too complicated. Business, the most in business now, I'm the happiest thing because it's so ridiculously, and I'm telling you, it is ridiculously simple. It is ridiculously simple. How I've set my business up, how I operate it, how I go about it is insanely and ridiculously simple. And it's in keeping it simple that has given me quality of life, and it's given me a happiness and a I guess, oh, geez, I'm not even sure. I don't know what the word is, but it's just peaceful. It's peaceful. It's stress-free. I'm not overwhelmed. I don't get the stress and the angst, and I don't get pissed off or, you know, any of that, you know. I just keep it really super simple. I've got a very small, passionate, dynamic team that I hardly ever see. They hardly ever see me because I've recognised that I work best by myself, and I work best if I have my team, but they're working in their own best places too. So we all generally work from home, and we've got such balance because we can work around our kids. You know, if something comes up, like, you know, Jackson's got a swimming carnival next week, it's a no-brainer for me, you know. I'll go to Melbourne and I'll do a speaking event Wednesday night, and I'll come home Thursday morning and I'll pop off to his swimming carnival. Now, once upon a time in business, that would have freaked the hell out of me, just thinking about that, because, you know, it would have taken a lot of coordination, lots of staff and lots of this and lots of that and lots of, you know, this, that and the other. And I just don't have that anymore. It's just really simple. It's just like, yep, I can do that. Or no, I don't really want to do that. So it's just about knowing yourself and what you really want. Forget about what everybody else is doing and come at it from a place of heart and soul, but also strategy. You know, strategy is a big part of business. Scheduling is a big part of business, and making sure that you are following up every single time and keeping that passion alive, you know, making sure that you've got enough time and space for yourself. And I'm not talking about time and space for you and your kids or you and your partner or you and your friends. No, I'm talking about space for yourself to evolve and grow and balance out and, you know, recharge and things like that, so you can be at your best for everybody else as well.
And that's one of the things that we spoke about before we even started recording, is that it is about you growing personally, and you need that time to grow personally. You know, so do you want to discuss that, Rachel? Why you think that this is about personal growth more than anything else?
Yeah, well, I recognised that fairly early. You know, when I was when I was pregnant with Jax, I recognised when I was doing my executive coaching, one of the ladies there, one of the senior coaches from America, she said, anytime someone comes to you for business coaching, it's going to be about 25% business and about, you know, 75% personal. And it really is about getting your personal ducks in a row first, and then everything else just sort of slots into place. And it does, and it has done, and it consistently does. But, you know, we are growing, we are changing, we are evolving, we are becoming different every single day. So, you know, if someone comes to me with a 5-year plan of business, I just go, you know what, we're not even going to bother with that. And they go, oh, you know, like my business coach said we needed a 5-year plan. No, we're not going to need a 5-year plan. We're going to need a 12-month plan, because you know why? This time next year, you're going to be different again. And knowing yourself and having this space in your world and in your week to make sure you are connected to who you are is important, because one, you make better choices, and two, you can make better decisions based on where you are actually going, because you know where that is. So many people I talk to don't know where they want to be this time next year. So many people I talk to don't have a budget, so they spend willy-nilly, and that's another thing I can talk about too. If you're an extravagant person, like I am generally as a rule, that can really do you in business. So you have to keep a really good handle on your budget, and you've got to have one. You know, if they don't have, if they're doing all this marketing but don't have a marketing plan, then that's another real poor choice, in business. So there's only a few things that you really need in business, and one of them is to know where you want to be next year, not worry about what your friends are saying or your partner's saying or your family's saying, or anybody else for that matter, but really understand what it is and where you see yourself this time next year and what that looks like. And then get yourself out of the road, because there's beliefs, there's habits that we've formed and grown and taken on board all of our lives. But if you have the space in your world to reconnect every week, then you can look at those objectively and say, you know what, I've believed this for all of these years, and you know what, it's just bullshit. I don't even actually really believe in it. I don't even know why I'm making this decision or doing this based on a belief I don't even have. It's a hand-me-down, or if it's passed to me, or in some shape or form it probably served you. But when you're connected with yourself, you keep tapping into who you are now and who you're becoming rather than who you were. And so the connectivity of who you are is super, super important, because it helps you have balance in your life. It helps you make better decisions to where you're going. It helps you understand what you're here to do, what your purpose is. It helps you reconnect with your passion. It helps you have better relationships, and it helps alleviate stress. And as you know, Cindy, when you're stressed, when you are overwhelmed, that creates inflammation in the body, and then of course that creates disease. So, people, if you're going to be talking about writing a best-selling book, you want to have written one. If you're going to be talking about health, you want to be making sure that your health is optimum. If you're going to be a personal trainer, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your body is in shape and it is informed, because you're a role model. You're when people look at you, they go, yep, that's where I want to be, So when people are talking about health and they're seeing someone really healthy and whatnot, well, they're thinking, yep, that's where I want to be. Look, she's got all this energy. She's happy. She's balanced. She's got a good lifestyle. She's making money. She's got good relationships. She's got a great partner, etc., etc. Yep, okay, that's where I want to be. So you've got to epitomize that. You've got to step into it, and it's not easy. I'm going to tell you now, stepping into who you really are is not the easiest thing in the world to do, because most people fear themselves. Most people shut down the not so attractive portions of who they are. You know what? Everybody's got shit in their lives. Everybody's got the dark side. Everybody's got things that they're not exactly happy with. But you know what? That's life. And I think that people put too much weight on the perfectionism of who, the community is. Forget community. Just, focus on who you are, what you want, who you want to have in your world in terms of friends and partners and everything else, what your business looks like. Yes, you've got a blueprint, and it's a basic blueprint, but how you implement it and how you go about it, that is all you. So without knowing who you are, you can't connect properly, because on another level, people are hearing your words, but they're feeling something else from you, and they're just like, you know what, she seems really nice, but there's just something, I don't know, there's just something not right. Even if they're not consciously thinking of it, you can bet your bottom dollar that they'll be thinking about it unconsciously. And so everything needs to be in line. All those ducks need to be in a row, and it has to start with you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Rach. I really think that when you're congruent, and I guess that's the word we're looking for here, is when we're congruent and we walk our talk and we become a role model, then it's visually we see more than we hear. So I couldn't agree with you more. Now, one of the things that we did talk about was scheduling. And I remember you being the till of a hun of schedulers. You were amazing. I have this hour here free. I can do that. No, I'm with Jackson that day. So how do you do your scheduling? Like I've done a default diary for them doing their education, saying that you put aside time for your education. So, you work back to figure out when you graduate. So that's just in the education. So
okay, yeah.
Talk about your scheduling.
Okay, well, there's two different ways. I mean, obviously, if you've got children, it's going to be different to someone who doesn't have children. I'll say that straight off the bat, having been there, done that. If you haven't got children, you can be more structured, but time is important. You do have to be ruthless with your time, absolutely. And I am ruthless with my time because I can't get it back, and it is important, and that provides me with balance as well. So with children, most of the time when I'm working with someone, particularly children with like little children that don't go to school or, maybe go to kindy or, go to their grandparents' place once a week or something like that, there is a different type of schedule. Every person is different, but I'll tell you this, the first place that you start is with prioritising. So first of all, you've got to have a bloody schedule for a start. You'd be surprised at how many people just have it up in their head. And I think, oh my gosh, I personally used to do that too. But being an entrepreneur or entrepreneurial, I should say, I'm a very creative person, super creative. So for me to get into my technical zone, and you've got to have the yin and yang in that in business. Yes, you can be creative, but you definitely need to have some sort of technical ability as well, or skill that you've got to learn if you haven't already learned it. And so the thing for me is, first of all, have a schedule. Secondary, you need to look at your priorities, list them out, see what your priorities are. Of course, if you just take mine, for instance, the first thing on my list is my family. They're my first priority. Second to that is me. I'll put my stuff in after that. And then thirdly then comes the business, et cetera, et cetera. So when I'm doing a schedule, I think, right, okay, my family's first, right. Go to the school calendar, see what's on at school, see what the kids have, see what's going on there. Book all that in now. Book it all in now, so it's not forgotten. I put it in my iPad, my iPhone rather, and that is I'm on the cloud. Everybody knows about the cloud, I'm sure, but it's your online storage and everything sort of syncs to each other. So everything I put in my iPhone goes straight to my laptop, goes straight to the cloud as well, so I can access it if something happens to my laptop or my phone. I've still got it there. I know what I'm doing, when I'm doing, how I'm doing it, phone numbers and all that sort of stuff, and when kids' carnivals are on and blah, blah, blah. So the kids' stuff goes in first, then comes my stuff. Right. Every morning, 4 to 5 times a week, I go to the gym. So I drop the kids off to school. I go straight to the gym. I do my gym for, 45 minutes. And then I come home, have a quick shower, and then I go and do whatever else I need to do. So, some days, usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is all my mentoring days. So I'll have mentoring on all or any of those days. And then I block out time to write. If I'm writing a book this year, I've just finished 2 books. I know I love things in doubles. I love things 2 up, twins and whatnot. So why not write 2 books at the same time? Said no one ever.
No.
I just did it. The last 8 months I've just done 2 books. So yeah, just finished those and they're at design now. So
just before you go on, we've only talked about Jackson. We haven't talked about the twins. She has 3 children, everybody. She's not just one, she has 3.
Yeah, I've got three boys, Jax, who's 11, and Bowie and Casey, who are twins, who are 6, and they're boys, of course. And then my partner has 2 boys too. So effectively every second weekend we've got 2 6-year-olds, 2 11-year-olds and a 14-year-old, all boys in the house. So
my gosh.
It's a bit crazy, but it's great. It's really great. And as you know, with kids, it's just life. It brings such life to the family. Yeah. Yes, you do want to kill them sometimes, but mostly they're okay. So, so then I book in, my business stuff. I book in interviews, I book in speaking, I book in mentoring, I book in writing, I book in administration. Anybody that knows me is going to laugh hilariously at that. But because I hate administration, absolutely hate it with a passion. I know some people are really, really good at it, but it's a skill I've had to learn. But I'm super glad to say I have implemented such the most simplistic systems now, and I tell you what, it's a breeze. I used to procrastinate on, because when you're not good at something, that's generally what you will do. You'll procrastinate on it. So don't do that. Just find an easier way. Just find a simpler way, one that works for you, and then it's easy. So it's no more than 2 hours a week for me, and my administration is done and dusted. And that's paying and accounts and the whole shebang, so which is awesome. And then other things that for instance, you might go and get your eyelashes tinted or whatever else it may be, or catch up with a friend. I book in at least 2 or 3 times a month, to catch up with a girlfriend that I love, and or girlfriends that I love, so I could keep that relationship and make sure that I'm there. And 2:30 at the school, I've got a call time at 2:30 at the school, so I'm waiting for the kids. I've got half an hour to do all my callbacks, and if I don't have any callbacks, well, that's when I'll also connect with my girlfriends. So if you ever want to get me on the phone, 2:30 is the go.
Remember that.
And when you're working at home, if you're writing a press release, or if you've got to do something that's really, you've got to concentrate on, if you're marketing, that's your work time. And I suppose over the years, my girlfriends have all just, they just all get it, because they're all just like, no, like you, I can't do that because I'm doing this. Or yes, I can do that, but I can do it at this time. So when someone, having your schedule on your phone is my biggest saving grace, because if I'm going anywhere and someone says, oh, can we catch up with for a coffee and do such, and, can I talk about this, that and the other? One, I don't do coffee, so don't ask me for that. If you ask me for a boost juice or a raw energy juice, I'll be there in a heartbeat. But, that sort of stuff, yes, I can, but I can do it in this time. So it's just educating people. It's the same thing as if you're working from home like I do. You don't have the door open. You don't answer the phone if it's personal. You just don't. You just got to discipline yourself, and you just got to think to yourself, if I do this, it's like writing a book. Okay, well, you know what? 3 months. Head down, till up 3 months. Yes, it's going to be painful. Yes, it's going to be a bit challenging, but you know what? You will do it. I mean, if people like Cindy and I who do it by ourselves, but then, I just wish from time to time, especially in the last 8 months, that I had a mentor like myself that could handhold me the whole way through and pull me kicking and screaming through some of the most challenging bits and just get it done and stop being painful, letting myself get in the way. And you do let yourself get in the way. But remember, if you let yourself get in the way of doing things that are over and above what you've ever thought that you could do or would do, just remember this: you're acting out. It's you acting out, you sabotaging yourself, and you creating situations that are not valuable, that they're detrimental rather than helpful to you. So you've got to be very cautious of that, and you've got to ask yourself, okay, well, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? It's creating pain. Why am I doing that? Stop, get myself out of the road, stop with my bullshit, and just get on with it,
Yeah. Now, I just want to summarise what you've said, because you have some amazing key points here. So I want to summarize it, and then what I'd like you to do is let everybody know what you're doing now, like how they can contact you, because there might be some people who need mentoring. There might be somebody that's done the course that want to write a book. Like I know someone who's doing the course to be a blogger. Right. To be a blogger. So, and there will be others that want to consult, and there'll be others that want to just go into people's pantries or change communities or change tuck shops. And so there's many things that they can do. So they may want a mentor, Rach, and I know you're an amazing mentor. But what I got from you so far is that writing a list was the most important thing that really got you propelled on your journey. You were persistent, and you realised that marketing was the most important thing. I love Barry Bull's quote and your quote that you live by. No only means today, not tomorrow. I love it. Passion is really important. And I feel that people that are doing the Functional Nutrition Academy course are very passionate. They wouldn't be doing this unless they had a passion. And some are doing it to save their husbands. Some are doing it to, like I said, bloggers. They've got all different reasons. Some just want it for information.
Yeah.
Everything is about relationships. And it's about getting to know that person. That they're not necessarily the high flyer. They could be a mum that's got 3 children, and they have their own life. And what's in common is it's solving a problem. You're solving someone's problem. But I love this one, and we didn't, I didn't reiterate it, but you said, I can do it. You said that to Dittner and Sandy. I can do it. I can go from 2 people to 500 people for your conference, and you did it. I watched you do it. Know your target market and suit the campaign to your target market. Learn what works and what you're good at. And I think that's really important. And I know, Rachel, with 4 Ingredients, you were good at marketing. You were the best. And the book is not necessarily the best cookbook that was ever out there, but geez, the best marketer was doing it. And that's what created it being the bestseller ever in the Australian history of cookbooks. Effort. Put some effort in and implement. Have a strategy, schedule, know your priorities, and have discipline with that. Budget. Now, that was something else I wanted to have a little bit of a thing with you, because I remember when you had decided to not go bankrupt and you decided to pay off that huge debt, and that was back in the 1990s. You needed, or 2000, you needed to pay that debt off, and I watched you budget like anybody. So I wouldn't say what you had said about yourself, which was that you were a little bit extravagant. I did see that extravagance happen when you started to make money. So I thought that you were the budget queen, Rach. Also, walk your talk. Be a role model. So I look at I've written it all down because I think your strategies and your ideas and what you've done and where you've come from, because I've seen that and where you have gone to. And I remember when you walked away from 4 Ingredients, you walked away because it wasn't, even though it did brilliantly, it wasn't what you wanted to do. And it wasn't your passion in the end. And your passion is what you're going to tell us right now, is what you're doing right now. So do you want to let everybody know what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you. That's such a good summary too. God, you're awesome. Well done. Lovely instruction. I think, it wasn't my passion. Building something from nothing is my passion, whether it be for myself or helping someone else do it. I love, love, love taking a blank page and creating something amazing, something better than anybody else can do it, something bigger, better, brighter. And that's the adrenaline for me. It's so exciting and it's so amazing. So right now I am still mentoring. I still mentor. We've got a book production company. The book production company is helpful for people that are writing ebooks or a proper paperback or hardback book, anything to do with that. So if you want an ebook for your website or whatever, we do that as well. We edit, we format, typeset, design, front covers, back covers. We also walk people through that whole process. So, there's a mentoring component there as well, where I just help people through every fortnight. We jump on the phone. I go, okay, well, this is what we're doing this week, and this is what we're going to do next week. Now send that through to me. Let me have a look. Let me review that. Let's check it out. And that's with business and with books as well, either or. But next year, I'm going to be starting something from nothing again and going. Additionally, I'll still keep my book production company, which is awesome and amazing. We're cracking out the most amazing books. Like last week, we did this book that was just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. I just thought, wow, a lady that had never written a book before, and it was a channeled book. I mean, you can imagine that just sings to my heart straight away, right, Cindy?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was just like, oh, Christ, what a cracking book. Now, this woman, she had dyslexia. She could not read, you know, all that sort of stuff. But she has written one of the best books I think I've ever seen. It's just amazing. But you know what? Completely fearful. She fought, kicked, punched, argued, bitched, whinged, and cried the whole way through. But I can tell you, you know, it was, what was it, maybe about 12 weeks. She's done and dusted, and she got the book yesterday, and she is just crying with tears of joy. I mean, that sort of thing. Can you believe I get to do that? It's just, you know, it makes me feel so teary, to be honest. I'm just so excited and so happy I get to do that. It's just amazing. So I would never give that up. Well, they say never say never. I know that. But, you know, right now I've got no intentions of giving that up because I really just enjoy seeing other authors feel and experience what I have felt and experienced. I've got the 2 books coming out in January. We're going to do a soft release on my fan page, Rachel Bermingham on Facebook and whatnot, in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's going to be really cool, pre-Christmas. And it's about marketing, of course. One's about marketing, one's about writing. And so just jump online to Rachel Bermingham on that one. And we do online programs. We do logos, Cindy. We design flyers. We do a lot of design work, which is really cool for me because that really fulfills a portion of what I can do and what I am, you know. So I really enjoy creating all these funky little designs and things like that. So that's really awesome. And then next year will be a big year for me because I've had this idea for business, a business in my head for the last couple of years. It is something really connected to my soul, and I can't wait to get that kicked off. So I'm not saying anything about that, but it's completely left wing from anything I've ever done. Right. I've never done anything like this, but I have the business name, I have everything in my head and ready to start, you know, kicking that off. So this time next year, there'll be another business under the Rachel Bermingham banner, and but it won't be called Rachel Bermingham. It will be something completely different. So you'll probably see it and you'll have no idea that I'm behind it, but you'll hear about it. You will hear about it. And I'm really excited about that. It's just something that's not, there's a gap in the market and something that I've always wanted. And I'm looking forward to providing that and actually getting out there and doing something a bit different. Yeah, be good.
Creating and building something from nothing. I'll make sure that they have a link to all of your Facebook, and is it your website too, rachelbermingham.com, is it?
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Cindy. Yes.
Sure that they've got a link, because that's what these students and graduates are doing, is they are building something from nothing. They realise there is a niche in the market that people need coaching. Like they may go to their doctors and be told, well, you're going to have to do a lifestyle change, and they don't know how to do it. And so the doctors don't have time, or the chiropractors or whoever it is don't have time, but these graduates
do. These participants do. And look, you know, I just want to speak directly to the participants here. For a second. You know, you are going to be scared. There's going to be times when you're going to doubt yourself. Don't let that stop you. Don't put the brakes on you. That serves a really good purpose, because that allows you to stop, rethink, reconnect, recalculate, and replan. You know, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Anytime you're wondering, that's great, because that's urging you to get to a place of truth about where you're going and what you're doing. So, and don't let yourself be stopped either by things that are presented to you and you think, oh my God, that just sounds, I can't even get my head around that. Can't even get my head around it, because, you know, every single person listening to this is destined for something amazing. You all have been given this opportunity. You've all made this opportunity happen. Now, just think about it for a moment. It's there. You've got it. Now do it your way. put your heart and soul into it. Go where it feels right to maximize this opportunity. And some of it, you will think to yourself, oh, gee, I just don't know if I can do that. Just give it a go. Just give it a go. Breathe through it. Suck it up. I remember I made that phone call to that TV show, and honestly, I had it in my schedule at 9 o'clock that morning. It took me till 2:30 in the afternoon to do it because I was so terrified. By the time I picked up the phone, I had no time to fart ass around, basically, because I had to go get Jackson. I had 15 minutes. I had to pick up that phone. Otherwise, that was going to hang over my head and be there the next day. But I knew that if I picked up that phone and made that phone call, it would change my life, but it will also change a lot of other people's lives as well. And the passion drove me to do it. The passion and the belief in what I was doing drove me to pick up that phone. When my belly, I was 2 seconds away from throwing up, being so scared about doing it. But I did it. I picked it up. I thought, just pick up the bloody phone before your brain figures out what you're doing. Quickly, quickly, quickly. And so I picked up that phone. I made that phone call, and that really did change the course of everything that I've done from here on in. And it produced such insanely amazing results, far more than what I ever thought possible. So just when you think you know where you're going to be this time next year, and it's a great thing, you do need to have a direction and a place to go, you will far surpass yourself and your own expectations and your own dreams by simply putting one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you will need help. Find a mentor. Call out to Cindy. Talk to somebody that is going to cheer you on or support you. But you will get there if you only get out of your own head and get out of your own way and just allow it to happen.
And I think something I didn't write down is that the whole message is that there's something bigger out there than what you are that needs this message. And like if I talk about health, we're looking at a very sick population. And so everybody needs to get out there because the health professionals do not have the time to do what these guys can do. And they're
so lucky, Cindy. You and your participants, they are so lucky. Look at the market. Look at the market. It is ginormous. The possibilities of how to market this are insane. You wouldn't even be able to write them all down. There is such an insane opportunity here. And if you're thinking about bigger picture, and yes, it is above you, think about how many people how many lives you'll save, how many lives you'll change for the better. Think about how happy those people will be when they are gifted with the knowledge that you now have. It's just, oh my gosh, the marketing of this is just diabolical. It's just one of those things that could just, honestly, you just don't know where it's going to go because it's so huge that it's so, you're talking about most of the bloody population here.
Yep.
Exactly. In one shape or form, it doesn't even matter if they've got, if they're overweight or whatever, if they want to lose weight or whatever. I'm talking about the people that are depressed. There's 1 in 5 people that are going to face depression in their lives. I'm talking about the people that have got diabetes. I'm talking about the people that have got heart disease. I'm talking about the people that got chronic anything at all. I'm talking about the people that have got dementia. Like all these. Look at that market. Look at that market. And the way to change that, the way that you can be effective is to get your message out there.
And I think it's a very noisy market, but I like what you said, Rach. Do it your way.
Do it your way with heart and soul, and you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really good spot to end on. And I just want to thank you, Rachel, because I've watched you, and I want everybody to know that Rachel is an amazingly hard worker. But she's also an effective and smart worker. And it wasn't just about, you were an overnight success. You had many failures, like beginning, and then you did really well. And then, things happen in life, such as 9/11.
Such as 9/11, such as getting poor advice from that you trust, Oh, geez, girls and boys, whoever's listening, there's been a few times I've fallen flat on my ass, I think the biggest hit I ever had was losing $2.8 million because I believed in, or, just handed my stuff over to other people that I trusted and I shouldn't have. Always keep it simple. Then you can keep your hand on the pulse and things like that. So you just got to, but you do have to work smarter. You do have to work, I wouldn't say harder, but you just do have to put effort in. You've got to put effort in. The minute you put effort in, things change. The energy changes. The universe provides, all that sort of stuff. I don't work till 3 o'clock in the morning every night anymore. In fact, I'd be lucky to work till, midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning once a month or once every couple of months now, because I don't need to. I've learned, I've done all that. I've tried and tested, and I've tweaked everything to a point now where it's, I've got a really, I probably work 5 hours a day or something like that, 4 or 5 hours a day, and that's it. But it took me a while to get there. But, this conversation and me sharing some of this information hopefully will help you adjust what you're doing in your life so that you can learn through my mistakes and not have to go through them like I did, and not work nearly as hard. Like, gosh, if I knew what I knew now, even, 5 years ago, life would be a lot different. I would have, it's a lot different. It would be a lot different. But you know what? I've got it now, and that's what you've got to focus on. You've got this information now too. So how will that help you right this minute?
And I think that that's a really good point, is that, don't make the mistakes. There are people out there, such as yourself and myself, and, like mine is in nutrition, yours is in marketing and mentoring. But there are people out there that have been doing it for as long as we've been doing it. And we know it, and we can teach that. And I think that that's the most important thing. And that's why I had you, Rachel, is I wanted your experience for all of my students and my graduates, because it's those experiences and being succinct in, these are the mistakes, let's not go there, this what's worked, let's do this. So
don't ever be afraid to ask any question, or ask for help. That's you're not going to grow, you're not going to evolve if you do not ask for help. Don't sit there and go, oh, that's, they would think this about me, they would think that about me. No. Don't do that. I just mentored a woman this week, a Telstra Business Woman of the Year. Her wheels are falling off, So there you go. It's just you. Everybody, every single body has challenges. So, you've got to understand, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be just starting off. You could be making millions and millions of dollars. You still need support. And women will go and they'll have some drinks with each other, and they'll talk about kids, they'll talk about their sex life, but they won't talk about their budget. They won't talk about their real dreams. They won't say, I need help with such and such. They won't do it. That to me is the most amazing thing ever. 9 times out of 10, the women that come to me will sit there and tell, their friend how much sex they have or whatever, but they won't actually say the real pain. They won't talk about the real pain in their life. Please do. Please be honest, and please reach out and ask for support.
Well, as everybody can see, Rachel is a wealth of knowledge and inspiring, and a true teacher. So thanks, Rach.
Thank you.
So if you've enjoyed this podcast, then please make sure you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/up for a chat. Post all your comments and feedback there, or any thoughts that you might be able to help us. Or you can go to thewellnesscouch.com/up for a chat and post your comments and feedback there too. Please don't forget, if you want to come and have some of these rabbit hole amazing conversations where we may be able to set up something. But apart from that, thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Kelly. I'm sure everyone will agree that we are all part of the ripple effect that's changing the world. We look forward to seeing you next week, guys. Take care.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.